The link up that you didn't know you needed. Former unified welterweight champion links up with a brand new welterweight champion. Errol the Truth Spence Jr. missed the man down. Missed the strap season. Hey, stop that cat. Yeah, definitely. He's linking up with Brian Norman, a top-ranked fighter, newly crowned WBO champion. And I, for one, believe this is a good look. So let me first show you what I'm talking about. Subscribe to the channel. I'm truly the best in this space. So if you want your boxing news, hit that subscribe button. This picture emerged on the internet, and you see Errol Spence, who I will say, Ego Weight Watchers, pause. We got to pause that. But Ego Weight Watchers, you look at Errol Spence Jr., he's clearly taking care of himself. Now, Errol Spence, since the Crawford loss, he's kind of been with his family, kind of just out the public, the public eye, I guess you could say. But judging from this, I could tell Errol Spence is taking care of himself. One thing that caught me off guard is Errol Spence looked big. Like, I thought Brian Norman was decently big, but like Errol Spence, you see, he was a big welterweight, right? Now he's moving up to 154. Very interesting times for Errol Spence. First professional loss. He's been kind of inactive since the Crawford fight. Crawford already came back and fought, and he's likely moving up to 54, getting a nice look there. And he's clearly in shape, at least from the Ego Weight Watchers eye test. So I'm just curious. The other thing is him and Derek James are at odds. So they're no longer working together as fighter and trainer tandem. So as of me recording this video, Errol has not released who he's going to even be training with. So a lot of interesting things to be announced for Errol Spence, I guess you could say. But I love what I'm saying here, because you have a guy who's been there at the top of the welterweight division, and he's linking with, again, the brand new welterweight champion, Brian Norman. So I don't know the nature of this link up, exactly how it happened, or, I mean, I could probably find out, but I'm saying as of recording this video, I don't know what prompted this. I don't know if they're working together. I don't know. I don't know Errol Spence's trainer. I don't know. I guess we have to wait and see. But all in all, I like it just because that's the best way to learn, is to learn from people who've been where you want to go. Errol Spence can definitely say that. Fought on enemy territory with Kell Brook, basically, right? And beat him in his hometown and had a crazy run that he was undefeated up until, as I mentioned, the Crawford fight. So Brian Norman is a new champ. And the thing with the current welterweight division, it needs work, because all of the champions have basically garnered their belts via the email, like email champ, meaning for the most part, they didn't have to fight a champion to become a champion. So some people say email champ, some people say paper champ, things like that. It's different when you go in the Lion's Den like Errol Spence did, 20,000 fans against you in enemy territory, overseas, got to acclimate to a different time zone, and you take the belt off of Kell Brook, an upstanding, welterweight champion with power, with, some ring IQ and athleticism, etc. So this new generation, new crop of welterweights, I'm not blaming them for the record. I'm merely telling you what it is. The new crop of welterweights, they have like Stanionis, Brian Norman, and Jerron Boots Ennis and Mario Barrios. They may have fought for either interim titles, and then when Crawford moved up, who was undisputed after beating Errol, they got elevated, things like that. Or for Boots, Jerron Ennis, he couldn't get the Crawford fight. Crawford said, I'm moving up, and he never got the fight. So as a result, Boots just by default became the champion. So nobody's really fought the champion to become a champion like Errol Spence. So I'm sure there was a wealth of knowledge from Errol Spence, whatever the hookup is. Errol Spence is a cool dude who, I think he gives back in ways that a lot of people don't understand and don't realize. And I think that would be good for Brian Norman. Brian Norman has an upcoming fight on Keyshawn Davis's card, and he's going to need to make a statement because Brian Norman, his name has definitely been buzzing in relationship to Jaron Boots Ennis, because seemingly there was an offer for a unification between Jaron Boots Ennis, IBF champion, and the WBO champion, Brian Norman Jr. If you follow my channel, you will know the outcome, that close but no cigar. They never actually got to the point where the fight materialized. Eddie Hearn hasn't been providing what most people believe that he was going to be capable of providing to his fighter when Jaron Ennis signed to him. But that's another story, another video. Needless to say, Brian Norman already has his next assignment. We're still in limbo, wondering what's next for Jaron Boots Ennis, because as of me recording the video, it hasn't been announced. So Brian Norman has his next fight already signed on the dotted line, got a date, got a venue. Him linking up with Errol Spence, I support it. I love it. Again, you want to go to places other people have been, why not talk to people who've been there before? I remember watching a Kobe Bryant interview where Kobe Bryant, he says, I went to Goat Mountain, like basketball players, Jordan, Larry Bird and whoever else, he said, Kareem, Magic Johnson, and he said he spoke with them to get little tips and tricks because all those guys had, at that point, young Kobe, he hadn't achieved what he went on to achieve. So he said he picked up little pieces from all of his Jerry West and all these guys that came before him. So I think the same for Brian Norman. Brian Norman is young. He's 23, I believe. So he has room to grow. A lot of fanboys and the fanboyism is hurting boxing. People saying, oh, why Brian Norman didn't take this whoop deal? Why would he? Why would he take a raw deal that he wasn't comfortable with the money, especially after taxes and all your deductions and things like that? And you're only 23. You can stay on the path you're at. See, I think a lot of people are beholden to money, and that's a bad position to be in. Money is great. Money is needed. Money is a tool. I get it. But at the same time, I think some people would desperately do anything for money to the point where they make bad decisions for big money up front, but long term, does it really help you? Does it really help your journey? Do you grow from having more money up front, but then if you make the wrong decision, one false move, and then now your money is stifled? So I think that's stupid. Like, and I'm not trying to pick on anyone. I'm just giving you guys an example. It's like Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer worked with Eddie Hearn, and he was probably getting more money, right? He was getting more money per fight because DAZN was just in the game. They're overpaying fighters and, caused inflation in the sport of boxing, which is cool. But he was at the point where he was trying to dictate to Tank Davis, like, yo, fight on my side, DAZN, and turning down $2 million offers to fight Tank on a Showtime pay-per-view and things like that at the heat of that battle. Like, there was a lot of back and forth between Tevin Farmer and Tank. So that could have been, at a point in time, it could have been a big fight or a nice size fight, a fight that was anticipated, and it was an opportunity. But big picture thinking versus short picture thinking. Now you look at Tevin Farmer, he just lost to Murataya, and then before that he had like a long dry spell, and Tank's at the top of the sport, right? So if Tevin Farmer thought he could beat Tank, then you fighting on Showtime versus Tank, you could have deterred his whole path. Where if you were able to have beaten, I'm not saying he would have beat Tank, but if you were able to beat Tank, then it could have been a whole different trajectory. But then you thought, you and Eddie Hearn were in the driver's seat and things like that. Fast forward to the future, as I mentioned, Tank Davis is that dude. And he's clearly making the most in the division outside of Canelo, right? Or not division in boxing outside of Canelo, right? So it's funny how these things work. So same thing with Brian Norman. You guys like, oh, this is stupid. His dad is stupid. I never viewed it like that. You guys said the same thing for Frank Martin when the Shakur Stevenson fight and deal didn't work out. You got to look at the particulars. Just because we as boxing fans stubbornly want to see a fight, that doesn't mean the back end and the business makes sense. Because I'll tell you straight up, the businessman I am, I'm a savage. I'm not just taking any deal. Like, I get offered brand deals all the time on the channel. I've worked so hard. I don't want just any brand, and I don't want to just throw a bunch of stuff at y'all for some money. You know what I mean? All money ain't good money. So I don't need to, like, if there's a product and they want to work with me, it could denigrate my brand if it's not reputable. You know what I mean? Like, if I start doing a brand deal just because they're paying me and they're paying me for ads to put in ad placement in my videos, that's cool for some quick cash. But what if the product is like recalled or something? Now I look like a putz. I look stupid because I'm sitting up here selling my audience that is taking years to get to this point. And I'm sitting up here telling y'all to go cop this product, and then it gets recalled, or it's a scammy company and they take people's money. I don't want no parts of that. So I pick my brand deals carefully. And again, boxing fans, the selfish nature of boxing fans, if they don't get it their way, they don't get the fight they want, they just assume like Brian Norman's stupid. They said the same thing with Frank Martin when the Shakur Stevenson fight didn't pay out. They said, big mistake, Frank Martin. You'll never make this money that Top Rank and Shakur's side was offering you at the time. Silly them. The very next fight, he fights Gervonta Davis. He buying new whips. He buying new jewelry. And y'all idiots was out here saying that Frank Martin will never see that type of money. And he's seen it in his next fight. Dummy. Anyway, see, I'm about to get mad. So I'm about to get out of here. Errol Spence, Brian Norman, shout out to them.